Welcome back to Soda City Live. Nothing compares to a mother's love for her children. Well, a local mother is advocated or has advocated for her autistic son's education, and it's helped him to defy the odds. Now she's sharing details of her experience to help other moms like her in her new book. A Journey with My Autistic Son, a guide for parents with children with an IEP and 504 plan. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Folks.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So glad to have you. So, when did you learn that your son was showing signs of autism?
Well, I knew when he was about 1 or 2, but didn't get the actual diagnosis till he was between the 2nd and 3rd grade. I didn't get the actual diagnosis.
What were some of the signs for you, though?
Some of the signs for me was he liked to lay on the floor as if he was listening to sounds on the floor. He always gravitated away from the group at early daycare and stuff. He didn't like to play around with other children. He never looked you in the eye. Very little social eye contact. And he wasn't talking until he was 3. Speech was a problem.
Now, let's first, we haven't had a chance to tell our viewers your son's name. What is your son's name?
Elvin Akeem Hanley.
So, Elvin, what were some of the hurdles that you first had to jump through with Elvin?
Besides speech, he had speech early on. But as he got into school, elementary school, they said he had ADHD. But then when I moved to Columbia, all of that changed. They wanted to remove him from regular ed because of a test that he was given, intelligence exam, and they moved him into self-contained.
And what did you do once they placed your son in that class?
I went inside the classroom with him every day for about 40 days and took notes and see what the curriculum was like and realized that I didn't want him in there. And if he passed the 1st and the 2nd grade in Florence, South Carolina, he could be in regular ed in Columbia, but they would not let him out. So the fight began.
Right. And so we're going to talk about the book now. So I have your book here. This book, it details a little bit of some of the hurdles that you overcame with education, but it's also a guide for other parents that might be dealing with the same thing. Tell us a little bit about that.
It talks about some of my hurdles, my experiences, but mostly it details what a parent can do if they're going through any other, any changes or any hurdles, trying to navigate their child through the educational process, how to really advocate for their child appropriately.
And you know what I think? I think for some parents that have never experienced having a child with special needs or special learning and not having a community, it can seem like you really only depend on what the school is telling you. But in your instance, you said, no, I've sat in here, I've audited, and I don't like it, and I'm going to challenge that system. And so now in your book here, you're using this guide and letting people know, hey, you can actually, you do have a say-so in your child's future. And you also told me earlier that your son, we keep saying your son defied the odds, but tell our viewers about graduation for him. How was that?
Graduation for him was very exciting, but to me it was like a death, and let me explain that. Because for so many years I fought the system trying to get him to graduate, and it was not easy. So when he finally got to the point of graduation, it was like, what do I do now? Who do I fight now? It was always, every year, it was always something with the district or the classroom or the teacher. Elvin can't do this, Elvin can't do that. And I'm always having, yes, he can. And so when he finally got to graduation, it was like, okay, what do I do now? So I formed a nonprofit agency, Elvin's Lifeline, because I said to myself, there's others like Elvin and self-contained that don't need to be there.
Right.
There's other, so I'm gonna adopt the spirit of Harriet Tubman. I will go back for the rest of them.
And you know what? The one thing, and as we wrap up on time here, one thing I love about this book is it not only applies to parents that have children with special needs, it also can apply for any parent that feels that their child can have a better education.
Yes.
And so it speaks to them as well. Now we're going to wrap up here, but you said your son actually graduated with some honors. Tell us about that.
He graduated with, I think it was a 3.34 GPA. Elvin is very smart. Autism does not mean retardation. In Elvin's case, he was on a higher spectrum, but he was socially delayed. So he don't understand social cues.
Right.
Like if somebody say, stop talking, I'll give you the facial just, he just keep on talking. So socially, but intellectually and cognitively, you teach him, he will know it and he will learn it. And that was another thing I had to go through with hiring tutors and working with different people on the outside of the school, because like one of my chapters in the book state, school does not stop when the bell rings for these children. You have to have a plan to carry out if you want that child to get out of high school. Absolutely. If that child can. All children cannot with disability. You have to be real about it. But you have to read the book to know that.
Well, perfect. Well, Dr. Folk's book is available on Amazon and other places, Barnes and Noble,
Books A Million.
and Books A Million as well. We will have all those details on our website at wistv.com. Again, here's the book there. Thank you so much, Dr. Folks, for sharing this, the details of your book and advocacy for education. Amen.